You are listening to the Pedagogy Primer podcast. I'm Mark Gallimore, Director for the Center for Online Learning and Innovation at Canisius College in Buffalo, New York. Today, we sit down with the directors of the first-year experience program here at Canisius to learn about the development and day-to-day operation of this innovative course for our newest students. Dr. Jennifer Desiderio is an associate professor in the English department and a co-director of the first-year experience program. Dr. Desiderio teaches the introductory composition classes that all first-year students take. In addition, she teaches American literature courses, including African American literature, the rise of the American novel, and a journey in American literature. This year, she has worked on senior theses on Emily Dickinson's poetry and on the literature of the environment. Next year, she looks forward to starting a new role as Associate Dean in the College of Arts and Sciences. Tracy Callaghan is an Assistant Dean for Student Success and Director for Academic Achievement. She oversees incoming first-year registration and is also a co-director of the first-year experience and chairs the Cura Personalis team. Tracy also serves as a success coach and academic mentor for students. She is a member of various committees, including the College-Wide Retention Committee, Academic Affairs Working Group, and the Academic Programming Board Subcommittee. Having grown up in the Buffalo area and a proud alumna of Canisius, Tracy interacts with all students at Canisius, keeping in mind the Jesuit value of Cura Personalis, or care of the whole person. Mason Bowes is a current junior in the class of 2024. He is double majoring in English and philosophy and has a minor in art history. Mason is the lead FYE peer mentor, mediating information and discussions between the co-directors of FYE and the peer mentors. In this role, he also assists Jen and Tracy with various jobs which help the program run smoothly. Outside of his first-year experience role, Mason is also a lead orientation leader, the president of the Honors Student Association, and a member of other various clubs and organizations here on the Canisius campus. Welcome, Dr. Jen Desiderio, Tracy Callaghan, and Mason Bowes. So let's start by describing the first-year experience, and let's try to use language that's suitable for prospective students, parents, or friends outside higher education, folks that don't live and work on campus every day.
So FYE, we really like to think of it as an extension of New Griff orientation. It's a one-credit course that meets over the span of 12 weeks. And during this time, so during those 12 weeks, we really try to help our first-year students transition to college. And we talk about time management. We talk about wellness, note-taking, academic integrity. What does it mean to be at a Jesuit institution? One of the really awesome things that we have that's a part of FYE is we have peer mentors. They're involved in each section, and we found that our first-year students really gravitate and relate to our peer mentors because they're doing the thing. They're in the seats. They were in those seats, relatively recently, a lot more recently than the instructors. So we've really found that the peer mentors are really integral in helping our first-year students kind of feel comfortable on campus, but also find activities that they are interested in.
So in a sense, it does a couple of things, including maybe some sort of problems, contemporary problems that we're trying to solve in higher ed.
Yeah, absolutely. I think broadly speaking, FYE tries to make the transition to college smoother. That's our big aim. And part of making it smoother, I think, is giving students the necessary knowledge to navigate the campus so that they know where the tutoring center is, for example. They'll know how to make an appointment at the writing center. They'll know how to talk to their success coach in the Griff Center, for example. So FYE introduces them to that. And so that gives them the necessary knowledge of those services and then how to connect with those services. In addition to academic success, we also want to make sure that they know where the counseling center is and know how to talk about loneliness or talk about meeting friends or why is this transition so hard. So broadly speaking, we want to make the transition smoother, and we want to give them the tools necessary to be successful, and to be successful in a very broad sense: academic, personal, social, all those important things.
Yeah. So how did FYE come about?
Well, it started as an academic working group that was part of the retention committee on campus. And so that group met, and we surveyed faculty, asking them what topics they wanted students to know about. That what did they feel that students needed to know about as soon as they come to campus. And so then we had that kind of long list that included tutoring and the writing center and academic integrity. And then over the summer, we met with all those various stakeholders. So the counseling center, the library, the associate dean's office, and others. And we came up then with the curriculum for the class.
And what was really great about this is that we had individuals from across campus, academics, student affairs. So everybody really had input, helped us write modules. So we really felt like it was a campus-wide effort to put FYE on the schedule and have students partake.
Some of the term that was repeatedly used in the language of these kind of first-year classes is constellation. That in order for these classes to be successful, you have to build a constellation across campus, meaning that you have to just connect all these various offices. And I think we did that really well.
Yeah.
So now you're 2 years in, you've got 2 completed fall semesters, and in your minds, what did you build into FYE from the beginning that's worked really well?
Peer mentors, hands down. We did a lot of research to look at existing first-year experience programs, and I couldn't believe it, but peer mentors were not something that was standard across different institutions. So we added peer mentors in right away, and it is definitely, from the feedback we get, so important to that. We also built in one-on-one meetings, and that's been something that's been successful. And based on feedback from instructors and peer mentors, we've actually shifted the timing of those individual meetings, and that's worked out really, really well.
Another thing that we include is that we encourage students to go to events. And so part of, again, another a term that you see repeatedly in the language of these first year programs is belongingness, like trying to get students to feel like they belong on campus. And part of that is making sure they're going outside their classroom to other activities. So getting them to see Father Greg Boyle, who came to campus in the fall, making them go to Montante and sit in the chair and actually see him. So I think that's another important aspect along with the peer mentors. And that's where the peer mentor can come in too, is that the peer mentor can maybe meet those students and then they go see a speaker together or go to, a soccer game together or something along those lines. It's just trying to get them outside of the classroom so they really feel like this is their campus.
Mm-hmm. And then we also built in planners. That was something that we had a lot of conversation about when we met that summer when we were planning. What kind of planners? Do they really need them? And the feedback that we've gotten from students is that they do use them. It really does help with time management. We built them into the modules, and we have created the planners that also reflect the academic calendar, because sometimes the students aren't aware or don't look at the actual academic calendar on the website. So this is a way that it's really front and center for them.
Okay, so it sounds like the peer mentor really is a cornerstone of Canisius's FYE program. Mason, can you elaborate on the role of the peer mentor and describe it in some detail?
Yeah, so the peer mentor is a role for current undergraduate students to kind of take on. And really what they do is they sit at the front of the classroom during these classroom discussions, and they can really assist the professor kind of fill in the gaps for what might be missing. So like Jen and Tracy kind of hinted at, coming in as a freshman or a first-year student can be very alienating. It can be scary. It can be difficult. And sometimes having that sort of undergraduate that they can relate to, it makes a lot of these transitions easier. With the one-on-one meetings, it can be a lot less intimidating to go to another, peer as opposed to the faculty to say, like, I'm having these issues. Like, what can I do to solve them? So the peer mentor really is kind of just a a great way to help students feel less scared about getting involved and finding what aspects of campus they need, what support services they need on campus.
That's great. So what have you learned along the way in the last 2 years that you've incorporated or anticipate incorporating the next time around?
We've learned a lot over the past 2 years, which is important. FYE is not stagnant. We constantly are looking for and get feedback from our instructors, from our peer mentors, and that's so important because we want to constantly refine it and make it better. So what we're looking at now, because we are taking the time this summer, again, to look at our modules, look at the delivery. More interactive activities, something that we definitely want to build in. We had a library scavenger hunt that was an enormous hit this past fall, so we want to build in more of those interactive activities. And sometimes less is more. Sometimes we've had so much information in our slide decks that, we lose the students a little bit. So we need to back off that information and look more at, let's plant the seeds so they know where to go, they know where to get the information, instead of bombarding them with the information that we're sharing.
And additionally, I think something that we see in a lot of kind of current pedagogy studies is the need for active learning. And so part of that is really making sure that we create that community early between the students. And so we have this activity called Pair and Share, where students pair up with somebody in class and then share what they wrote in order for that assignment for that day. And so just thinking about that, that initial assignment and how that becomes so integral to the class, and just how we can refine that and make sure that we can continue to build that community throughout the semester.
And I think that has become so important. Students, dealing with COVID, lost that ability and comfort level to interact with peers. How do I have a conversation with a human because they're not on a screen? So I think even without knowing it, us building that in was really important because we're trying to model early what we need them to start doing in classrooms now that we're back, in person.
Right. So it sounds like for peer mentors, it is a significant investment of time and effort on the part of the students who participate in this program. What sorts of rewards might they get out of this experience?
Yeah, so in my experience and from what I've heard from other peer mentors, really the most rewarding aspect of being a peer mentor is developing those relationships with first-year students, or kind of fostering discussion between students and even with the professors. In my time as a peer mentor, I've had students come up to me directly and they've talked to me about certain struggles they've had. And seeing them kind of go from this kind of spot of being like very fearful of expressing themselves and being intimidated by schooling, and then going on to become a part of like e-boards and clubs, or like, seeing them involved in other aspects of campus. It's a really cool experience. And furthermore, like on top of that, seeing sort of like an interdisciplinary growth from students is really cool. So like Jen and Tracy were saying, we really encourage students to go to outside club events, right? Like the Gregory Hoyle speech or other things in that same vein. And seeing students who normally would be confined to just being in like bio or being in English or psychology or those, certain groups, seeing them go to these events and kind of talking to other students and really kind of growing the student base of Canisius past the just being simply a major is really, really cool to see.
Yeah, that's tremendous when we like to consider Canisius as sort of a collective enterprise rather than just a place for a transactional education.
Exactly.
So, having done this now for 2 years, what has surprised you in this process?
I mean, maybe just going off of what Mason just said is the enthusiasm that, especially from students and peer mentors, that Tracy and I just held interviews for peer mentors for next fall, and we had over 50 students apply, and so that's wonderful. I mean, we only have 24 spots, and so that really showed that students, one, enjoyed it because they want to do it, and two, that they want to be part of something, that they want to contribute. So that was great to see the enthusiasm from the students.
Absolutely. They wanted to apply because of how much of an impact their peer mentor had on them. And it was just so awesome to hear that. Awesome to hear that during interviews.
And the same enthusiasm, I think, from faculty that we've had, whether it's ABAC or bio or chemistry or psychology, that those professors want to teach their incoming students and be there for them. And so that too has been really nice, that faculty see the need for this and want to be involved.
Yes. And I think too, like Dr. Desiderio's and my relationship, it's been so fulfilling and so much fun to do this. It's a lot of hard work, don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
But how much fun it's been. And then again, like we're building those connections between faculty and staff, and it's continually building, which I love. And too, just like Mason and Mason's input on this has just been fantastic. So I think the relationship building that's come out of this has been like awesome and a great surprise.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's this kind of what Mason described as an interdisciplinary sort of reweaving of the fabric after perhaps the pandemic among our faculty and staff as well. That's fantastic.
Yes.
In what ways do you suspect that FYE is unique to Canisius? What can we do here with FYE that maybe other universities may not be as equipped to do?
Well, I think our size lends itself to individual attention, so that most sections of FYE are only between 13 and 18 students. And so that's small and intimate, and it allows us to interact. So right away, an incoming student will have access to a faculty member and a peer mentor. And so I think that's something that makes our program special.
And that small, that size and how we're all connected allows for, if somebody's, if a first-year student's having some difficulty, we're on it. We are aware of it, I think, a lot quicker than maybe some larger institutions. And I think, too, the fact that, we have 25 sections versus 100 sections, we're able to get that continuous feedback. We have little gatherings where we invite our FYE instructors to drop down and have drop-in hours with us and tell us how things are going middle of the semester. We did the same thing for peer mentors as well. So I think that allows for that, hey, are there things that we can change midstream that maybe a larger institution wouldn't be able to do that we are because of our size here?
A little more agile since it's not a giant bureaucracy.
Yes, yes, yep.
It's a bunch of people who know each other very well. So, and looking to the future, what problems do you still feel you'd like to solve, or sort of projects you'd like to carry out within the FYE framework?
Service, incorporating service. This is a drum I've been banging on since it started, but we really realized we had to tackle what we could tackle and what we could, get in motion. So this is something that, as different pieces of the puzzle are kind of being put into place for the future, and that we can have these conversations with faculty and say, this is something that we really want to incorporate. It's a best practice, and I think something that is really important that we kind of ingrain in our first-year students about the importance of, we live in a community, and how can we have respectful interactions with the community in ways that they need, and that students can ultimately benefit as well. So I think that's the big one.
I would say, too, that the incoming cohort is always changing. I mean, sometimes we have a lot of ABAC students. Sometimes we have a lot of bio students. And so it's shifting for that. Like,
we see that in our individual classes.
Absolutely. And so how, responding to that, right? Making sure that content matches that cohort. So that's something, too, that we just constantly have to keep our eye on and change and adjust to.
And then, we just recently talked about this as well. Do we extend FYE the entire semester? It's 12 weeks right now.
Okay.
We wouldn't do that for the fall, but maybe something where we can incorporate more of the topics and, important information that we want to share with students and bring them all the way to finals. So that's something that, again, just very recently we had somebody ask us, a faculty or a staff member ask us, are you considering this? And I'm like, that's something that we can, again, taking that feedback, take into consideration and find out if this would be beneficial for everybody. So, yep.
Okay, so exciting places to go in the future. Dr. Jen Desiderio, Tracy Callaghan, and Mason Bowes, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Canisius Pedagogy Primer podcast. Relevant links can be found in show notes. For more helpful resources for teaching and learning, visit www.canisius.edu/COLI.